Warning: the following video contains explicit language which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Warning: this video will have spoilers for the 2017 Geoff Johns graphic novel, Watchmen, Doomsday Clock. It may also include discussions and images related to sensitive subjects such as sex, violence, and drug use. If you choose to continue watching, you are accepting responsibility for that decision. Thank you, and please have a great day.
Hello and welcome to this video. I hope everyone is doing well. I hope everyone is doing fine. And I hope the universe is treating you fairly. Today's video is brought to you by my new cell phone. Got my old cell phone finally gave up the ghost. I mean, I bought it in 2018, summer of 2018. And it's 2025 now, so yeah, it had a good life. So we're trying the video quality on this phone to see how well it does a YouTube video. So yeah, that's it. This looks like it'll be like 3 weeks in a row that I've managed to get a video done. One video that's it's gonna probably turn out to be a bonus video. I am currently watching, as it's released, Common Side Effects. Sunday nights it premieres on Cartoon Networks. Monday mornings on HBO Max. That is a really, really awesome animated show, and I'm gonna try to wait to all. I think IMDb is showing it as 10 episodes, so. We'll do that. So that'll probably wind up being a bonus video with any luck. But that's not what you're here to watch. You're here to watch what's in the title below, and that is Watchmen Doomsday Clock. This is kind of a mixed bag. There are some really, really good story elements in it. And there's some not so really good story elements. The base story or the concept is Dr. Manhattan from the Watchmen universe teleports into the canonic DC universe, except it's not canonic, but it is, and it's weird. It was supposed it was supposed to be a reset of the DC universe. It went sideways. So yeah, though it was released in two parts. Here's number one. Yeah, I do have that right side up. This here, and here's the back cover. And here's the second volume. I forgot how many. Here's the back cover. How many individual comics this was. This was written by Geoff Johns, drawn by Gary Frank, and inked by Brad Anderson, I believe, if I'm reading this correctly. The concept is, like I said, Dr. Manhattan comes to the canonic DC universe. You're starting to get in the DC universe this whole big anti-superhero movement, which you had previously in the Watchmen, the original Alan Moore Watchmen. Um, and Dr. Manhattan starts tinkering with things in time and leading to the constant resetting of the universe. You have multiple resets of the Superman universe of Superman. Um, that's the one it focuses on, Superman. Um, the He also tinkers with the Green Lantern, tinkers with Saturn Girl from the future, and like in the original Watchmen, he comes to a point where he can no longer see past a certain point in time, which is kind of redundant in my view. That's my view. Now, what you have going on with our DC universe, our Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Flash, Firestorm, all these guys, is you're having this swell, kind of fueled by Lex Luthor, of an anti-metahuman, superhero thing, um, which kind of parallels things going on now, where in the real world, where people with money and influence are causing the uneducated, moronic, stupid people to do stupid things. And they're doing it for their own amusement. And that's kind of what Luthor's doing, like Luthor's doing, but he's doing it to further his power base, um, a la Elon Musk. Um, but back in the Watchmen universe, with the absence of Dr. Manhattan, and the time has passed, 10, 20 years has passed since the squid attack at the end of the Watchmen book. The world is getting ready. They're getting in the Watchmen universe. They are getting ready to nuke each other. The Russians and their allies, America and their allies, are getting ready to go full nuclear. And Ozymandias is trying to find Dr. Manhattan to bring him back, to get all these people from doing stupid shit. There's a new Rorschach. He's the son of the shrink that the original Rorschach, Kovacs, was talking to when he was incarcerated. Through manipulation, Ozymandias' manipulation, he thinks that his father and the original Rorschach were like buddies. They weren't. And they go and they free some inmates that Dr. Manhattan had captured, but he spared their lives because one of them was pregnant. This female and male, Marionette and Mime, which was their supervillain names. Mime has the power of making people believe what he's doing is so real that it affects them, or he's through some kind of superhuman, metahuman trait, conjuring stuff out of thin air. It's not really. They don't go into a whole lot of detail on it, on the metaphysics and the how it's done. They just go with it. And Ozymandias' theory is if he can bring them and guilt trip Manhattan to come back to their universe. So that's the basic Watchmen side of the story. And as I said before, you have this swell of anti superheroes in the canonic DC universe. Batman, there's riots against Batman in Gotham City. There's riots against other superheroes, other countries, the Soviet Union, communist bloc country. Well, Soviet Union's not really communist bloc in this comic. It's Putin. I mean, Putin gets cameo. But they start doing America's creating these metahumans, so we're going to create our metahumans and blah, blah, back and forth. You're having basically a metahuman arms race, kind of like the nuclear arms race we had during the Cold War. Black Adam, supervillain from the Shazam comics, takes over a country, fictional country, and starts inviting all the expatriated metahumans. He has a feeling, and he's setting things in place for him to merge and take everyone else out. And it culminates Martian Manhunters on Mars. Evidently Mars is not Martian Manhunter. Dr. Manhattan. Dr. Manhattan. Mars is his favorite hangout because he hung out in the original Watchmen comic over on Mars, and in the DC canonic universe, he's hanging out there on Mars there. All the superheroes get together. All the ones that haven't. The Green Lanterns go to space. Like I said, Diana went to her people. Went back to Themyscira and her people and all that. And what was left of the superheroes are flying to Mars to take care of Dr. Manhattan because they perceive him as a threat. You also have a B story, which involves Dr. Manhattan and a closeted homosexual actor who kind of reminds me of Rock Hudson. He's like this super studly, guy. He's doing these detective movies where he's this Bogart, Humphrey Bogart type tough guy, but off the stage and behind closed doors, he's a very feminine, very homosexual man. And he gets murdered. I want to say late 50s, early 60s, when something like homosexuality, especially male homosexuality in Hollywood, would get you blackballed, get you murdered, all kinds of bad things. Female homosexuality was kind of tolerated because men are pigs and And that's just kind of the way it was. Go through, do Google searches through like the glory days of Hollywood, the golden age of Hollywood, and you look up how many actresses were openly homosexual or openly bisexual versus the number of men. So yeah, it kind of parallels that. And like I said, he reminds me of Rock Hudson because I remember as a kid before the AIDS epidemic. Mouth doesn't want to work. Actually, it was more of a pandemic because it's global. The AIDS thing that, Rock Hudson, growing up watching, reruns of his movies and stuff, he was always portrayed as this big, manly guy. And that's the parallel in this B story. And it's a really good B story. The A story in the Watchmen is okay. The A story in the DC canonic universe is a little bit better. I think that if Geoff Johns would have been able to, because it's my understanding that DC wanted a sequel to the Watchmen and told Geoff Johns, here, we're going to give you a boatload of money. Give us something. Also, we need to reset our universe. So I think it was resetting after the failure of the New 52. But anywho, and they wanted to reset, which is interesting because the way Batman is drawn in this here is very much the same Batman that is in Geoff Johns' 3-issue series, Batman Earth 1. Same cowl, same bat emblem, same modus operandi. It's a very Geoff Johns Batman. Basically, and everything gets figured out, and everything comes to a climax. All the good guys are on Mars fighting against Dr. Manhattan, who is basically just counting down to the point in time where he can't see past. And he knows it involves Superman somehow. And so all the good guys are up there. Superman was waylaid. Is injured with kryptonite, so he's in bed. He's not on Mars. He's recovering. Lex Luthor and Lois Lane actually team up to help try to figure this shit out. And they do a good, and that to me, that is the best part of the story. Is the whole Lois Lane teaming up with Lex Luthor. That thread of the story, because that is the last two people you would expect to team up. Because Luthor's a dick, and Lois Lane is very strong-willed. And it makes for an interesting team up. Mind you, on Mars, Dr. Manhattan is handing the DC superheroes their ass. No ifs, ands, buts. He's just handing them their ass. Superman recovers. Batman had figured out what was going on. World's greatest detective, and and when the superheroes were on their way to Mars, he tries to stop them. So he figured out what Black Adam was doing, how Black Adam was setting this shit up, and he fails. Um, we have the climax. Black Adam and the super villains. Some of them are actually superheroes that assimilated into Black Adam's little country thing. You have the big final battle where the good guys win. Dr. Manhattan and Superman collide. And it is at that point that Dr. Manhattan understands that Superman isn't going to kill him. He's not going to kill Superman. The universe isn't going to end. And you have basically this reset. Dr. Manhattan realizes that you're going to have a world, you're going to have Superman. You're going to have Batman. You're going to have Wonder Woman. But the key to it is you're going to have Superman. Superman is the glue that holds everything together. Now, we'll jump back to Ozymandias, the new Rorschach, and Marionette and Mime. Mime cannot talk. He physically is unable to talk. They're happy to be out of prison. They do what adults do that haven't had sex in a while, and she's pregnant once more. In Manhattan, and they go through the thing with some of the underground supervillains. You have a really good scene with them and the Joker. Comedian shows up because the premise is that John or Dr. Manhattan knew that they had a feeling or knowledge that Ozymandias was going to pull this shit. So when the comedian in the first Watchmen in 86 gets thrown through the window and he's plummeting to Earth, he snatches him midair to the DC canonic universe and drops him in to serve as a foil to Ozymandias' plans. At the end of the comic, Dr. Manhattan sends the comedian back mid-fall, so he still splats. Like I said, there's some really, really good scenes. There's some really good ideas. Some of the execution kind of falls flat, but it is what it is. I would recommend these comics. I'd get them in a trade paperback. I've got minor hardback. I would recommend them in the trade. I would not recommend spending the money on hardback. They are worth trade paperback trade paperback is graphic novels. Well worth the money. Little pricey for the hardbacks unless you're just a hardback person. That's the reason why I have them in hardback, is because I like hardbacks. So with all that being said, check them out. If you can find a PDF or a Kindle version for relatively cheap, probably that's a better option to watch them or read it. So, with all that being said, remember to be a good human, be good to other humans. Peace.
Hey, it's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?